Hello and welcome. It's time for another round of the Apex Online Assetto Corsa Competizione GT4 Championship for Tier 2. This is Season 1, the first season of GT4 racing in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and this round takes place at Brands Hatch. The weather report for this upcoming race is mixed, just like last week, with a 40% chance of rain. So before we go into the next race, let's have a look at the standings in the Drivers' Championship. Since the last round, the stewards have been busy following up on a number of incidents that were submitted for review, and unfortunately a number of drivers received penalties as a result of the stewards' inquiries. Katalin Sazu of V8 Racing in the Chevy Camaro received a penalty, alongside Sam Penfold of Pensport GT in the McLaren 570, and Daniel Martinez in the Porsche 718 Cayman of Porsche Motorsport, Kieran Wilson in the Mercedes, and Gabriel Rossetti of RST Racing in the Alpine 110 GT4, and finally Dennis Deutsch in the KTM. All those drivers will have received a reduction in points, and that's reflected in the championship table now, but it's not had too big an impact on the front 10 drivers. Daniel Fernandez of Winning Run GP is still in first place following his victory last time out at Kyalami. In second place, John Paul Ribeiro of FACC in the Porsche. In third place, Michael Bird of BRD in the Chevy. And in fourth place, it's Igor 55 and Mrzyuski of lack of a team name in the second Chevy. In fifth place, it's Tom O'Connell and Phil Sims of BRT in the Ginetta. Sixth place is Katalin Sazu of V8 Racing in the third Chevrolet. In seventh place, it's David Zapata in the Mercedes. Eighth place, Sam Penfold of Pensport. Ninth place is Voodoo and Andreas Ahn of IMSA Performance in the Audi. And in 10th place is last week's solid defender all the way around Kyalami, Steve Cowie in the Revo Sport GB BMW. Looking at the Manufacturers' Championship, the order is unaffected by the penalties, but the Chevy Camaro team, unsurprisingly with 3 cars inside the top 10, are leading at the Manufacturers' Championship at the moment, followed by Porsche in second place and Aston Martin in third. And going around the table in order, it's Ginetta, BMW, McLaren, Audi, Mercedes, Alpine and KTM. The Alpine and KTM teams both at the bottom of the table, Alpine proving to be quite a handful last time out at Kyalami. KTM's didn't turn up for Kyalami, but one of the KTM drivers, Dennis Deutsch, receiving a penalty, leaving them on negative points. Let's see if they can turn that situation around in this next race at Brands Hatch. So weather for qualifying was warm and dry with no rain as per the possible weather predictions. And let's join Daniel Fernandez in the Aston Martin on his pole-setting qualifying lap. He's just going down the Brabham straight now, up towards the rise at the right-hander for Paddock Hill Bend. Drivers have to be careful not to drift off to the left and into the gravel trap. Up over Pilgrim's Rise and braking hard for the Druids hairpin. Down into second gear for this corner. And picking up the throttle, dropping down into Graham Hill Bend. And then it's onto the Cooper straight. Carrying as much speed as possible forward before breaking into Surtees. It's left. And up the hill. Long straight now, one of the longest straights on the track. And dropping into Pilgrim's Drop. Just the other side of the bridge. Braking down into fourth for the right-hander of Hawthorne Bend. Then a short straight, the Derek Minter straight before the Westfield Bend. And picking up the throttle through Dingle Dell. Next up is the very difficult Blind Sheen Corner. Very easy to go off to the left and into the gravel trap. And then it's the tight left-hander of Sterling's onto Clearways. And it's nearly the end of a lap, just the Clark curve just ahead, and it's back onto the Brabham straight to finish the lap. And that puts Danny Fernandez into pole position with a time of 1:32.48. So here's the qualifying grid for the next round of GT4 Championship. Dani Fernandez in first place from Winning Run GP. In second place, John Paul Ribeiro of FACC. In third place, Matthew Hill of KTM. And in fourth place, it's Dennis Deutsch, also in KTM. In fifth place, it's Phil Sims of BRT Racing in the Ginetta. In sixth place, it's David Zapata in Mercedes. In seventh place, it's Jimmy Holm of Aston Martin Amateurs. In eighth place, it's Bird of BRD. In ninth place, it's Penfold of Pensport GT. And in 10th place, right alongside him, is Dominik Marajirski of lack of a team name. In 11th place, it's Steve Bezic in Beeswax Racing Aston Martin. 12th place, it's Kieran Wilson in a Mercedes. 14th place, it's Aurélien Gand of FT Racing in the Audi R8. In 13th place is Kathleen Sazu of V8 Racing. 15th place is Danny Martinez of Porsche Motorsport. 16th place is Manuel Dukes of GoGo Ginetta. 17th place it's Steve Cowie of Revo Sport GB. Alongside him is the other BMW of João Pedro Castella of JP Racing. In 19th place is Andreas Ann of IMSA Performance. In 20th place is Kulikov Eugene in the Alpine. Right behind him, new driver tonight, it's Trupiana of RST Racing in the other Alpine. Finally, in 20th place, it's Clive Morrison in the third Mercedes. And that completes the field for tonight's race. And we join the action just as the race is starting. Dani Fernandez there, crossing the start-finish line. The green flag is shown, the race is underway. Fernandez comfortably moving away from his pole position. Slight gap behind to Ribeiro and the two KTMs in close attendance. Fernandez looking comfortable already on the opening lap. Nobody immediately visible behind him in this close shot. And now there's a little gap already. And Ribeiro's been passed by Dennis Deutsch. Dennis has a penalty to serve. Looks like that might have come from a stewards as a result of the inquiries. Being this early into the race, can't think of any other reason why he'd have a drive-through on the opening lap. And it looked like the other KTM was through as well. Still on the opening lap, and it's Penfold of Pensport attacking Sims of BRT. Looks like Penfold has that position going into Paddock Hill Bend and moving up to driving up towards Druids. Oh, looked like a little tap there perhaps on the back of Penfold, but he held it. Cold tyres at the start of the race. And we're with lap 4, Cowie attacking Steve Bezic, and this looks to be on the clearways, coming up towards Clark Curve. Cowie hangs around the outside of Clark Curve and gets the position. Real close cluster of cars at the start of this race. Very tight racing in Tier 2. And we're on to lap 6. And this time it's Bezic attacking Castella in the BMW. The BMW going quite slow there across the pit lane entrance, and they're side by side down the Brabham Straight towards Paddock Hill Bend. But with Castella on the inside, he may well block that move and hold on to that position. Still side by side into Druids, but it looks like Castella got the better traction on the way out of the corner. Lap 8, and now it's David Zapata attacking Steve Bezic of Beeswax Racing. Look to be on Cooper Straight going up towards Surtees. Yeah, Zapata gets the inside line for Surtees, which will put him in the prime position to move away as they drive up towards Hawthorne Bend. We're on lap 10. It's Clive Morrison attacking Aurélien Gand in the FT Racing Audi R8. Looks like they're also just coming out of Surtees. And they're side by side. Is Morrison drifting across too much there? It looks like they've hit each other badly. Morrison spun out. It's not clear whether Aurélien managed to keep going in roughly the same direction, but he must have damage. Morrison now pointing the wrong way. And lap 12, and it's Manuel Dukes of Go Ginetta attacking Daniel Martinez of Porsche Motorsport. And Daniel goes very wide there. Maybe he got onto the marbles, making it easy for Manuel to get his Ginetta up the inside and take that position. Manuel moving up into 15th place. Lap 13 and Wilson in the Mercedes attacking João Pedro Castella of JP Racing in the BMW. And look, oh, Castella's gone wide, just as we described in the qualifying lap preview. Took Paddock Hill Bend and just drifted onto the gravel trap, and I think he lost 3 places there in just one corner. Lap 20, Dennis Deutsch attacking Castella now. Castella in 8th place. Dennis gets up the inside, looks into be Druids, and makes that pass count. I assume Dennis has now served his drive-through, which is why he's down in 9th, having been 2nd on the first lap. And next up the road on lap 20 for Dennis, it's Kieran Wilson. Dennis hunting for a way up the inside of the Mercedes, and looks like he's going to make that stick. Although he's on the outside for the next corner. But he does make it stick. Look on the way up Pilgrim's Drop. And Dennis is in front, another place gained, up to 7th. A good recovery drive from that drive-through penalty. And lap 21, now it's Penfold's turn to line up to try and get past Wilson. And Wilson goes wide, maybe he caught the marbles as well. That also looks to be at Surtees. A lot of drivers going wide at Surtees tonight. Making it easy for Penfold of Penn Sport to get through in the McLaren. Penfold up into 8th. Wilson slowly dropping back. Wilson now back into 9th position. Lap 21. And it's Mrzewski against Bezic. Bezic's gone onto the grass in the Beeswax Racing Aston Martin. Dominic's clear on the outside. Spectacular tail slide from Bezic there, but he kept the car going in a straight line, but he has lost 2 places as a result of that trip onto the grass. Mrzewski and Dukes going through in the Go Ginetta. Lap 23 and Castella featuring again in our race. This time Castella in pursuit of Wilson. They're on the Brabham straight coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend, and this time Castella doesn't make a mistake, stays out the gravel trap, gets up the inside of Wilson, but Wilson fights back going up towards Druids. And if Wilson can keep that together, he should hold the place. So Castella just briefly passed, and now he's stuck behind Wilson again. Lap 30, and it's Penfold coming up behind Catalin Sazu. And he looks like he's made that pass stick as he goes on the outside. And he's also somehow got past Martinez. I think Martinez was just coming out the pits. So a lucky break for Penfold, Penn Sport. 2 passes in one go. I'll move Penfold up into 10th place. Martinez being very unlucky there. His pit timing just wrong. And lap 32, we're with Bezic of Beeswax Racing. And I can confirm that there was mistakes made in this race. There was a stop-go penalty of 30 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. And they forgot to change drivers, forgot to set their up going around the circuit. So Steve Bezic stuck in the car for the whole duration of the race, whilst his teammate looks on frustrated. Well, lap 32 with Eugene of the Alpine and the new driver to this round, Eduardo Tripiana. Both drivers in the Alpine, proving to be a very difficult car. When I was speaking to Eugene after the race, he said it's a total nightmare, real handful, and it can just snap and be lost quite easily. So Eugene to the front, coming round onto the Brabham Straight. Lap 37, and we're with Tom O'Connell now in the BRT Ginetta, catching Daniel Martinez on the Brabham Straight, coming up to Paddock Hill Bend. It looks like Tom's got the much better inside line. Going to make that pass stick. Goes past the Porsche and moves away, and that will put Tom up into 12th place. It's lap 39. Now Igor 55 is in the lack of a team name McLaren, attacking Castella in the JP Racing BMW. Looks like an easy pass there for Igor. Igor normally at the very front of a race, currently down in, well, that puts him into 14th position with that pass. So well out of position for the normal finishing place for the lack of a team name car. It's lap 41, and we're with Bird in the BRD Chevy Camaro, attempting to pass Steve Cowie in the Revo Sport GB BMW. And it looks like he's got a good inside line coming into the next corner, and he makes that look far too easy. Moves through to pull away. Again, I think Bird as a driver, not that far out of position. That puts him into 5th. Bird's normally in the top 4. Lap 45, and we're with Sazu catching Wilson again. These two exchanging places throughout the race. Wilson currently in 9th, Sazu in 10th. But Wilson must have had a mishap because we didn't see any pass there, and all of a sudden Wilson's several car lengths behind Sazu. So the V8 Racing Chevy Camaro, an easy pass in the end. I'm not sure if drivers were experiencing their tyres going off by this point in the race. It's lap 47, and it's the Pensport McLaren of Sam Penfold attacking Voodoo in the IMSA Performance Audi R8, and the Audi goes a little bit wide there. Penfold sneaks up the inside, and in close attendance is the race leader, who must be lapping them. That is impressive performance by Fernandez. Brands Hatch is a small track, but to be lapping all the way up to P6, P7 is a very impressive drive. So lap 49, and it's Tom O'Connell again in the BRT Ginetta attacking Wilson. Wilson featured a lot this week. Tom's, if he gets this pass done, and it looks like he has, so the Ginetta only up to 10th place this week, normally a much higher placing car. So it looks like a number of drivers have had a difficult week at Brands Hatch and may not be coming away with the point haul they were looking for. Lap 51, they must be approaching the end of a race now. And it's Castella again of JP Racing attacking the Go-Go Ginetta of Manuel Dukes. And that one looks a pretty solid pass, putting Castella into 12th place. Not surprising, as we just seen Fernandez lapping up to 7th place at least. He's coming across the finish line, 11 seconds clear of Hill in the KTM. It's another win for Winning Run GP. That's his second victory in this championship. Fernandez will be moving away on the Drivers' Championship table, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. And as we watch Fernandez just coming around the lap there, we'll move on to look at the official race results for this round. So to confirm the results, crossing the finish line in first place is Daniel Fernandez of Winning Run GP. In second place is Matthew Hill in the KTM, and in third place Jean-Paul Ribeiro in FACC in the Porsche. In fourth place David Zapata in the Mercedes. In fifth was Michael Bird of BRD. In sixth place it's Steve Cowie of Revo Sport GB. In seventh, Sam Penfold of Pensport GT. In eighth place, it was Andreas Ahn and Voodoo of IMSA Performance. In ninth, Catalin Sazou of V8 Racing. 10th place was Kieran Wilson in the Mercedes. In 11th place, it's Phil Sims and Tom O'Connell of BRT. 12th was João Pedro Castello and Daniel Montero of JP Racing. 13th, Manuel Dukes and Paul Martin of GoGo Ginetta. 14th, Dominik Brzezinski and Igor 55 with lack of a team name. 15th place, Steve Bezic and Blind Guy Murphy 7 of Beeswax Racing. 16th was Clive Morrison in the Mercedes. 17th was Daniel Martinez and Ross Hujak in the Porsche Motorsport. 18th place was Eduardo Trepiana of RST Racing in the Alpine in his first outing. 19th was Kulikov Eugene in the second Alpine. 20th was Orlean Gand in FT Racing. And the non-finishers for this round were Dennis Deutsch and Jimmy Holm. Moving on to the overall Drivers' Championship for the GT4. Daniel Fernandez, with his victory tonight, retains his lead in the championship with Winning Run GP with 2 first places and a second place so far this season. In second place, and hoping to close the gap to Daniel Fernandez in the next round of the Hungaroring, is Jean-Paul Ribeiro of FACC, who finished third in this round. In third place, Michael Bird of BRD, who finished fifth in this round in the Chevrolet. And in fourth place, it's Igor 55 and Dominik Brzezinski, and lack of a team name, in the second Chevrolet in the championship. In fifth place is David Zapata in Mercedes, who finished fourth this evening. Sixth place, Tom O'Connell and Philip Sims of BRT in the Ginetta, who I believe have slipped slightly down the table this round with an 11th place finish. In 7th place is Catalin Sazou of V8 Racing in the third Chevrolet. With a 9th place finish, he's the last driver with over 100 points. In 8th place, it's Sam Penfold of Pensport GT with 97 points, which matches the same number of points as Steve Cowie of Revo Sport GB in the BMW, who's currently lying 9th based on race results. In 10th place, to round out the top 10, it's Voodoo and Andreas Ahn of IMSA Performance in the Audi. Moving on to the Manufacturers' Championship, Chevy are still in the lead thanks to another strong finish by all the Chevrolet teams with 147 points. Porsche are in second place, not far behind Chevy, and the gap is still closable as the season progresses. We're only 3 rounds in out of 6. And in third place, it's the Aston Martins. Aston Martins making a slight loss this evening as Jimmy Holm was unable to finish the race, and that would have dragged down the average score. In fourth place, it's BMW with 84 points, perhaps still just within touching distance of the top 3 with 3 rounds left to go. In fifth place, it's the Ginettas with 77 points. And then it's a really close battle for 6th and 7th, with McLaren in 6th with 62 points and Mercedes in 7th with 60 points. And just behind them is the Audis with 54. And in 9th place, the KTMs, who've made a huge step forward on this round and now have 33 points, but it's still a long way for them to recover and rejoin the rest of the teams in the midfield battle. And the Alpines continue to suffer the poor handling for that car that they've experienced so far, but tonight was the most decent result they've had so far in this championship with 8 points, and that brings them up to 11, but it's still a long way for them to catch up with the midfield pack. The next round is at the Hungaroring in 1 week's time, and we hope to see you there for the next race. Thanks for your time.